Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Wow, that's a very lovely response. Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to see each and every one of you here this afternoon. I'd like to really warmly welcome you to this session. I suspect that not everybody sitting around you is someone whom you came with to the meeting. So I'd like you to do me a favor. I won't get an opportunity to say hello to each and every one of them. So I'd like you to just turn to either someone on your left or your right or behind you and tell them, you equals you. That's fantastic. You guys are so good at this. You're so good at this. I'm going to ask you to do me another favor. Tell them, say zero.
Say zero.
I didn't hear that one clearly. Can you tell them again? Say zero.
Say zero.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Now, it's my pleasure and privilege to be your chair this particular afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Bukusi. I work at the Kenya Medical Research Institute and also with the University of Washington. And today, I'm just going to set the stage. And then you have two fantastic speakers who are going to talk to you about this. We have Linda Gale Becker from the Desmond Tutu Foundation and Michael Ighabero from Prevention Access Campaign. And today we're going to be talking about, we know very well that HIV has been with us for quite a while. For me, personally, I first encountered it as a fourth-year medical student. You can see from my gray hair that I've been around for quite a while. And the reality is, as per the theme of this conference, sadly, it's not over. We haven't finished our work. Sorry, now that was not me, I promise. We haven't finished our work. And we still have a lot that we need to do. So we really want to think about, WHO has already talked about the question of zero. We can say zero and we can eliminate the risk of transmission of HIV. Linda Gale is going to be talking about the clinical aspects, and Michael is going to be talking about the community response and what this means for us. Those are my disclosures. And I'd like to just start off by reminding us that for many things in the world, especially when it comes to HIV, an individual win is also a community win. And when we think about U equals U, it's not just about the individual, it's also about the community. And just like you've said to somebody around you today, we want to be able to say zero and mean it. And the question is, so what does this really mean? We are talking about ensuring not just that 95% of those who need to know their status know it, or that those who are tested and need to get on treatment. But we're really thinking about how do we ensure that individuals are at the point where they're virally suppressed, so we can say U equals U and we can say zero. It's moving from the different colors when you think about the traffic light, and Linda Gale will be sharing more with us about how we can think through those particular issues. So testing, it's been around for a long time. The question is how? How do we ensure that those individuals who really need to get tested do get tested? And in some instances, there are people who are easy to reach, but then there are those who are really difficult for whatever reason. It's hard for them to get to know their status so that they can make those decisions and so they can seek appropriate care or ensure, if they're at risk, that they do not get infected. The second 95, as you well know, is treatment. But even with treatment, how do we ensure that people can come in, get access to the treatment, stay on treatment? How do we make it easy? How do we make it possible? And then, where the real issue is today, the question is viral suppression. How can we ensure not only that people are on treatment, but that they can get to the level where we can say to them, say zero, or U equals U, that the level of the virus is such that they are not able to transmit. And that's where I want to then pass over to Linda Gale, who will then walk us through the clinical issues that help us think about U equals U.
Thanks, Elizabeth, and hello to everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I'm going to cover the clinical aspects. These are my disclosures, and it really is all about the individual and their clinical benefits, and then here, on the other hand, the community benefits and public health benefits that follow from this amazing, understanding of the science. So the story goes all the way back to 2008 when the Swiss came out with a statement. They were somewhat pluried at the time because they said as long as the virus is undetectable, suppressed, people don't have to worry about condoms. And there was a huge concern that we would see condom migration, we would see people not using condoms, and there was an outcry, in fact. Well, you know what? We had to eat humble pie because they were quite right. And this was proven with this very important study, which reached, global understanding of importance because it was described as the best study of the year it came out. And this is HPTN 052. So the study enrolled discordant couples and checked whether, depending on viral load, whether virus was transmitted to the uninfected partner using genetics to understand whether linked virus was at all transmitted. And very important to see that in those individuals who were suppressed in a linked relationship, then no virus was passed on at all. Followed then two more important studies. Partner 1 and Partner 2 went on to confirm this. And this was done in both heterosexual partners and in men who have sex with men to confirm that we can very confidently say the risk of HIV transmission when the virus is undetectable is 0. And so WHO did the review. There has been a scoping review done looking at all the studies, going all the way back to Tom Quinn's studies done in Uganda. And they have come up now with a policy brief, which was just released, and very excitingly confirms for us that as clinicians, as people looking after other folk living with virus, as counselors speaking to other people, if the virus is undetectable, we can say 0. So we are, as clinicians, often we're a little conservative. We find this hard to do. But if the person is sitting in the green zone, which is they are completely undetectable by whichever method your laboratory uses. So whether you use dry blood spots or you send off, if it is proclaimed undetectable, you can say 0. So we're going to say it again together because it's really important. 0. Okay.
0.
Because we struggle. We go, what about, what if, what? And Michael will underpin how important it is to actually be able to say that to somebody. Important, as I say, for their own health and for the health of their intimate partners. So this is around sexual transmission. The other end of the spectrum is the person who is not at all suppressed. So viral load above 1,000. For those of us who are treating people, they have been on a DTG or a PI regimen for at least 6 months. We test them. They should be virally suppressed to the point of undetectability. If they are not, or if they've been longer on treatment, you need to investigate what is going on, okay? If they are not on treatment, obviously they're unsuppressed and they fall into the red zone. Now, community has told us they find that stigmatizing, so we do need to be aware of that. There are some individuals in the world who will not attain suppression, either because they have lived long with virus or because of challenges. And this is where we're excited about new innovation. There are new drugs coming, some of them injectable, and we believe that this is where those individuals also can be brought into the fold and can be included. But we have to make sure those treatments are available for these individuals. And then there's the people who fall in the orange zone. Orange zone means action. It doesn't mean speed up, okay? It usually means slow down and look carefully where you are. Similarly, you have to say, hold on, I need to spend some time with this patient and understand what is going on. Either viral load is going up or viral load is coming down, and I need to know which one that is. Either way, we need to have a little chat about adherence and really understand how we can help, how we can assist to make sure that you can find the green zone as well. If they're coming back into care, let's welcome them with open arms, okay? Again, as clinicians, we sometimes get a bit stroppy. We don't want to do it. We start wagging our fingers. Let's stop wagging our fingers. Let's hold our arms out, okay? Come back. Welcome back. We want to get you in the green zone. Okay. This is where we have come from. So we came from a place where treatment was hard to take. And we also didn't have viral load. So that's the era that Elizabeth was speaking about. Some of you won't even have lived at that time, right? We lived in this era where the only thing we could say is, do you look like somebody who is not suppressed, somebody who is not thriving on treatment? And those were physical symptoms. We now have moved into an era, once you start antiretrovirals and you take them consistently, we expect that viral load to come down, the CD4s to go up, the clinical symptoms to disappear, and that person to be proclaimed undetectable. And that is the goal for every single person, the 38 million people around the world living with virus today. That is the goal. There have been 2 other mile marker trials that I want to tell you about because they're important as part of this. The first was, because treatment was hard to take, before the era of a single pill once a day, we thought we should try and spare antivirals. We should try not to put people on antivirals for all of their lives. And so we thought, could we do drug holidays? And the SMART study, way back in 2006, told us, no, you can't do drug holidays. So what we know today is if you start treatment, You have to take it for the rest of your life. You have to take it consistently. But yay, it is now 1 pill a day, quite easy to take. But again, we recognize that for some people, even that is hard to do. And again, we're not prejudicial. We look for other innovation. And I'm pleased to say, again, the world is moving to new innovation in this regard. The second important study was called START, and that said, don't wait. Initially, we wanted to spare antivirals. We waited for clinical symptoms. Now we know, let's test and start as soon as we can. As soon as that person is comfortable to start, and we need to guide them that this is the way to go. The best thing they could do is get their virus suppressed, and that's where we have to head. So it is great to see the world is adopting these new policies. On the right, you see how many people around the world are now adopting the test and start. And in the bottom panel, you see how many people are now moving to viral load testing. So we can't talk about U equals U really unless we are testing the viral load. So viral load tells us how many viral particles there are in a cubic milliliter of blood. You can't just look at somebody and decide what that level is. You have to take a blood or a dry blood spot and actually measure that. So we have to advocate for more viral load testing around the world. There is evidence to support viral load testing. And as I say, we wait 6 months when somebody starts, and then the process starts for viral load testing. We are in a very triumphant moment. We're moving towards that 95, 95, 95, and we can celebrate that 29 million people are on treatment. But we really need to be able to reap the benefits of having 29 million people on treatment. We need 29 million people suppressed and undetectable on treatment, and that's our challenge. We still have a way to go. These are the two partner studies. Again, I just want to underpin that despite 77,000 sexual encounters, none of them occurred when the partner was undetectable. So this is the secondary benefit. So the first benefit is for the individual. The secondary benefit is for their sexual partners, and an important one. Now, we do know that there is what I've just described, secondary prevention benefits, but we must not forget our primary prevention benefits, and that is pre-exposure prophylaxis. So we have treatment as prevention, and then we have treatment-based prevention, okay, or ARV-based prevention. That's pre-exposure prophylaxis. And both of these streams have to happen at the same time. And together, if you take U equals U and PrEP, you can start to see magic happen, okay? So getting the U equals U message out there is really, really important. So how we get that message out there, and I'm hoping if I shut up quickly, we can hear how we can do that amongst ourselves. But some of the work we have done is to sit, particularly with men, and understand what they think we should do around this. And some of the things they've raised is it's easy to take 1 pill a day. It is redefine the bad guy. The guy wants to do the right thing. He wants to do the right thing for himself, and he wants to do the right thing for his community. So we came up with this Impilo, U equals U strategy, where he understands if I take this pill a day, I do it for myself and I do it for my community. And we are now rolling this out in a study where we've shown this brings people in for testing, and we're testing it in a randomized controlled trial to show that actually this simple message, U equals U, will bring a hard-to-reach population, men, in Africa, in the door, and get them to test and take up treatment. The public health implications are, again, if we combine both pre-exposure prophylaxis and the U equals U message, we can eradicate the transmission of HIV. And here you see, in this study that was conducted in Uganda and Kenya, the partner study, where they looked at having PrEP for the negative partner in a discordant couple, ARVs in the positive. The PrEP was a bridge to ARV suppression, and then the PrEP could be stopped once the partner was fully suppressed. So this is exciting data. We're now starting to see this happen in cities. So when you combine treatment and primary prevention, you see incidents begin to drop. And you see all of these cities where we really are seeing a reduction in incidents that has been published. And we've even seen this now in a country in our own region. So this can happen if we do it. This is the point that it all comes back to. If we want to get a viral suppression, we have to keep people in care and keep them engaged. And this talks about the revolving door of HIV and speaks to differentiated service delivery. So this is the fourth 90 or 95. If we don't make it welcoming and differentiated and tailored for individuals, we can't expect them to stay in care. And we know now that we can do this. We can differentiate care to suit individuals so that they keep, whether it's multi-month dispensing, whether it's going into the community, whether it's driving it on a motorbike, their treatment to them in their homes. This can be done to make sure people stay on treatment. So I don't want to forget for a moment the fourth 95. And as our cohort ages of people living with HIV, this is going to become more critical as we go. With that, Michael, I will hand over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm just gonna walk over here. Okay, great. Hi, it's good to be in the company of Linda Gill and my Elizabeth. My apologies. It's good to be in the company of you both. I admire you both a lot, so thank you for all the work you've done. As a young activist, I look up to you both a lot, so thank you for what you do and still continue to do. So I'm going to speak about what it would take to realize the public health benefits of You Equals You. My name is Michael Ligodaro. I'm the Executive Director of Prevention Access Campaign. I do have a disclosure to make. And I also co-founded an organization called GBGMC, which is the Global Black Gay Men Connect. So I'm going to speak about undetectable equals untransmittable and the public health benefits of this. So in 2016, Prevention Access Campaign, which is the organization I worked for, mobilized activists, researchers, and community to sort of demand that the science that has been proven by this message be actualized with the community and be translated with the community. Because in 2016, leading to the AIDS conference in 2018, there were still doubts if U equals U was true, if it was real for people, if it was possible for people, even though science had proven it, that it was possible. But researchers and governments still questioned the message behind U equals U. So PAC took over to make sure, how do we make this message possible for people, and how do we translate this message and educate people and sort of demand that communities get access to this information. A caveat to that is I'm a gay man living with HIV. I'm married. It's actually my husband's birthday today, so happy birthday to him. I wouldn't be here if not for this critical message. As someone living with HIV, you know, this kind of stigma and discrimination that we have to go through, that we face, including young women and women living with HIV across the globe, even here in Africa, who are still discriminated, even sometimes criminalized because of their HIV status. Some of them still up till today do not have access to this critical information. That is both a personal win and a public health win, like Professor Linda Gill-Becker said. So looking at this, there's an individual benefit for you, which is like, I am a real life, you know, indicator of that. Like, you know, I'm standing here with you, healthy, married, living my best life as possible because of treatment of HIV. And you can do so too, right? You can do so, and that's the benefit of science. That's the benefit of research. That's the benefit of innovation, that we all can live healthy and be free. But there are people who still do not have access to this critical information. So let's take a look at why it is critical, both a personal gain for me, but actually an individual and public health gain as well. UGOS is proven to reduce mortality and improve health outcomes for people living with HIV. An example, it has proven to decrease HIV transmission. Again, like we know, if you're HIV positive on treatment, you cannot transmit HIV. If you're suppressed, right? You cannot transmit HIV. That means reducing new HIV infections. So improve mental health and sexual health of people living with HIV. Again, people living with HIV understand what it takes to be stigmatized every day, to be told they are less, right? To be told they are not enough, to be told that they cannot get married, to be told that they cannot have kids, to be told that they should be criminalized because they are living with HIV. That mental health burden can be erased if people have access to this information, that actually people living with HIV are just like everybody else. And then also improve testing rates. So the reason why most people cannot get tested or do not want to get tested is because of fear of stigma, right? The fear of being criminalized. So imagine telling people that if you get tested, there is hope. If you get HIV infected, there's hope for you. That is not the end of the world. You can get on treatment, you can get virally suppressed, you can have kids that you want, you can live your life just like Michael. Also, investment in health service delivery as well. Like we said, these are benefits that we can gain from the message of U equals U. Let's look at the economic benefits. As we know, our government like money. So thinking about how much can we get if we actually invest in this information and also invest in people living with HIV. So an estimate was done that we can actually get at least $4.2 trillion by 2030, obviously based on the net target. If people live with HIV get access to treatment, they are value suppressed and will reduce the number of new infections. That means we're spending less money on new treatment for people living with HIV because we are getting less people getting infected, right? So that's just a critical component that you can actually save money for your economy if you make sure people have access to treatment, number one, and also people know about this critical information. Obviously, it also dismantles HIV stigma because, like we know, HIV stigma is the number one public health emergency that we have right now. Right. So again, like Linda Gebecker said, this message is critical, it's clear, there's no ambiguity about it. Like the WHO have said, if you believe science, if you believe in data, you should believe what the WHO have said, right? Unless you're a quote doctor who do not believe in education, do not believe in science, then you do not believe what the WHO have said. Like what they said, people living with HIV who are on treatment and have undetectable viral load have zero risk of transmitting HIV through sex. This is as plain as it can get. It's not complicated. It's not difficult to understand. It said zero risk of transmission through sex. So, and I'm sure in your head you're thinking about, yeah, they just want to have sex. That's what they care about. Well, it's not about having sex without condoms. It's about the mental health benefits that I've just explained. It's about criminalization that I've just explained. It's more than just having sex, and also it's more than just gay white men demanding for this, right? Like I said earlier on, I'm an African gay man who is living with HIV, and I've benefited from this message. So it's more about people. Actually, if you believe in science, if you believe in people, you should believe that people should have access to this critical information that is crucial for their well-being. Okay, like I said, HIV stigma is a public health emergency, and U equals U is an immediate and effective response. There's no, we know how difficult and how critical HIV stigma has made it difficult for people to get tested, for folks to get on treatment, for folks to remain on treatment. And the only way we can immediately respond to that is making sure people have access, doctors who have the power to immediately have an impact on their clients, have access to this information, are not afraid to speak truth to power. What U equals really is about speaking truth to power and speaking truth, which is actually science and fact-based. So why is U equals U a game changer? Again, it improves the quality of health of people living with HIV, reduces stigma, and people progress towards 95 goals as well. Join the movement. Again, it's crucial. Like WHO policy brief just came out. Why is it that can live on the shelf if we don't make it into policies and actually implement it and make it real for people? Like we already know, sometimes it's easy for guidelines and policies to live on shelf, which are actually actualizing it for people. Educate your people, educate your colleagues, your friends. There are people in this room at this AIDS conference who still doubt the message behind U equals U. That is crucial, right? There are people who still don't fully believe, who still will tell you, yes, I know, I know, still use condom though, I beg, use condom, just use condom, please, just protect yourself small. But there is no ambiguity about it. It is true. It is really, really true. There are people who still don't believe it. So you need to educate yourselves and learn about it and translate this information to your friends, to your partners, to your mother, to your sister, to your uncle in the village who is having 6 wives. You need to tell them that, right? And again, promote it clearly. You can change it in whichever way you want it. PAC doesn't have, the only access to you, because you can change it, use your own language, and clearly promote it in your own way that you think is impactful to your clients, to your friends, and your colleagues, and your family. Again, advocate. This is the critical part of it, right? We will not have access to this information if we did not demand for it, and sometimes actually shame people, right? Like PAC had to shame some scientists and some researchers to make sure they can clearly say these words. Words have impact, right? Saying this U equals U, the way WHO have said it right now, it has made most our crucial people around the world who have been in fear say these words. Now they can refer to a policy to say, WHO said it, now I can say it. So words have impact. We have to educate and also advocate for our colleagues and friends to continuously say U equals U. Like like UNAIDS said with their critical message, to end HIV, we must let community live. Same as here, to end HIV, we must let people live with HIV, live, because really, HIV is not coming from above. We are the ones living with HIV, and we are the only ones that have the power to end it. You have to invest in us, right? You have to invest in us. You have to invest in us. You have to invest in us. We are the only one that can end the HIV crisis. It's not coming from here. It's coming from here. We have to make sure people living with HIV have access to treatment, can be virally suppressed, and that there will not be no new HIV infection. But there's a but. As you've seen at this conference, key populations were chased out of the opening ceremony. That will not end HIV if people are still criminalized. We will not end HIV if some people have still been seen as the other people, right? We have to make sure, like, to end HIV, all people, all communities have to be together, have to stand up with each other, and have to demand we decriminalize any laws that make it difficult for people to have access to treatment. Like I said earlier on, the only way we can end HIV is people have access to treatment and they're very suppressed. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Now, we come to the most exciting part, where you get to ask us questions. But before you ask a question, just turn to the person next to you and ask, do you believe? Do you believe U equals U? And if they do, tell them, say zero. Tell them, say zero. I'm hearing quite a number of zeros. The people at the back, I'm not sure I'm hearing any zeros from you, but I'd like to hope that you can also say zero. And the people online, we hope you can also say zero. So we have a few minutes, and there is a roving microphone that's going around, and I'd really like to thank the sign interpretation guru as well, who's really very busy interpreting for all those who need to hear in sign language. So please send the microphone around. Please say who you're asking your questions to. I can see there's one at the back, and there's one here in the front. So there's a second microphone right there.
Thank you very much. Great presentation. Kerry Johnson at USAID in Cameroon. So I believe in U equals U. I love it. So thank you very much. And we know that providers are very fickle about promoting U equals U. They really can't give up condoms because, for a number of reasons. So could you help us understand what are some messages that you would advise for people to understand, for providers to understand you can advocate for U equals U within a comprehensive sexual health approach? And where do condoms fit into that? Because as you know, providers are still saying do U equals U, but always use a condom when you have sex. So if you could help us with that, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's take a second question and then you can answer.
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you for that awesome presentation. Mine is more of a comment on advocating for you equals to you. I'm Judy from Kenya. I work with adolescent girls and young women and also children who are living with HIV and AIDS. When it comes to advocating you equals to you, our young people are getting into the relationship stage. But there is a lot of stigma on our children who are living with HIV and AIDS, and their relationships are getting very strained because they will not accept their either female or male counterparts who are on treatment. And it's something that we really need to drive hard as people who are programming and encourage all our either positive adolescents or HIV negative adolescents to be able to embrace each other and not fear to engage into healthy relationships as they grow up, because there is hope. You equals it to you, and support the partner or the person you love who is on treatment to suppress and continue with your normal daily life. So thank you very much. It's something I'm going to take back to Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you very much. So one more, and then Michael and Linda, you can go ahead. Oh, the hands are going up. All right, let's take one more and then answer, and then we'll come back for another round. All right, we've got both a gentleman and a lady who've got, all right, let's go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the presentations. My name is Priscilla. I'm a district AIDS coordinator and I work for the National AIDS Council. First of all, I'm a nurse by profession. So in 2004, I worked for an institution that was nursing HIV positive people only, and I saw people die. So I believe that ARVs are an answer from the throne of God. But the problem that we're having now is we still do have some religions that are stopping people ARVs. I'm not sure if you also have those in where you come from, but we still do have those. And I think this is where our source of problems are going to come from. Because what they literally do is somebody goes to their church or joins their church, they're told, we just baptize you and you're healed, and we ban the ARVs. I'm not sure if anybody else resonates with that, because we see a lot of that, especially in the rural areas where I'm a coordinator. We see people being stopped the ARVs. So I think we also need to think about that when we are talking you equals you, so that we reach, or we are able to reach those communities as well. Otherwise, there is a group that's lagging behind.
Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you very much. Last question, and then we'll answer.
Thank you, moderator. I think my question builds on Priscilla's question. Because I am Daniel Biamkama, I come from Uganda, and in Uganda, I'm the head of HIV prevention. So I like the news of you equals you. And often when I'm engaged in community education, is it radio, TV, I talk about the importance of adhering treatment, killing stigma, because when they are adhering well, they will not transmit. That we say. But recently, there is a challenge. A young researcher, a university student, well supervised by qualified professors, conducted a study on key populations and people living with HIV who are on ART, conducted the incidence of HIV among their sex partners. There was high incidence. It was presented at a conference in Uganda recently. So I think my question, I'll put it to Lisa. Are there, because when you see her problem, the challenges down there in the community, it could explain some of the challenges we must face. So from your experience, from research to implementation, have we done evaluations at implementation, at program level, national level, to really get convinced? I was taken back, and I cannot withdraw my message of motivating people to adhere treatment. Every time I get a microphone, get treatment, adhere. The reward for the community is clear, unmistakable. But I'm concerned. The challenge she talks about could possibly explain why the young researcher, supervised researcher, found that there was high incidence among partners of people on HIV treatment and the KP on HIV treatment.
Thank you for that question. Linda's going to respond to you, and then Michael will take it over.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to start with the question at the back, and thank you for that. I think, I do think we have to get beyond what's the role of the simple condom, right? And let me say it is the cornerstone of our response. So definitely, this is not a message about removing the condom. It's the only multi-purpose technology we have today. And the beauty of the condom is it protects against STIs as well as HIV, as well as pregnancy, if indeed that's what you need. So we definitely, for those people who can use condoms, and they're happy to use it, we don't want to discourage that for a minute, okay? So that's really, so we have to continue to make sure condoms are available. We should try to make them as sexy as possible. We should try to, build it into the education we give young people so they see that it can be part of foreplay if it comes to that, so that people actually get to use condoms. But the message I think we need to give to our colleagues, clinicians, people on the ground, counselors, for those individuals where that is, difficult, or they're struggling, or they're in a discordant relationship where they know, that it's a monogamous relationship and they're happy together. Those individuals, the message is really liberating and very important. So I've heard people say to me, and I think Michael's already beautifully described, it takes the fear of sex and the fear that has shrouded our intimacy, for the last 20, 3 decades, it takes that away. And I can actually, again, really be the individual I was supposed to be. We're human beings, and intimacy is part of our very lives. So important to hear this. And we know that in the vertical transmission space, nothing more important for a woman to hear, I'm undetectable and therefore I can have a child safely. So, this is really, really very important for us to get that message out there. But the context of when to talk about condoms and when not. So my message is, you're undetectable. You will not transmit HIV, but don't forget there are also STIs. So be aware. Know that you need to have yourself screened for STIs. And to young women, what is the contraception you are using other than condoms? So we just have to always remember the STI reproductive health side of it that goes with the U equals U message. So I think that's really important. I want to tell the little story because I think it'll get to this other aspect. When we went to men, and these were not necessarily gay men, they were heterosexual men, to reach them, because in South Africa, this is our biggest problem, is reaching men, because they're our lowest 95 cascade outlook. And we went to men and said, what is it that would make a difference to you? Do you know that, a pill a day can stop you transmitting HIV? You don't have to change your life. And they said, that is powerful. That is amazing, that I can take this pill a day and I can carry on with my life as usual. It is not going to be stigmatized. It's not going to be changed. I'm not going to have to, change how I think. So we now have an Amajita tutu truck, which goes around in the community. It's a mobile, and it has a sero-neutral approach. Step into the vehicle, men, get your hair buzzed if you need it, and also get your test. If you are negative, you leave with a pill a day. That's PrEP. If you are positive, you leave with a pill a day. That's ARVs. And, men are flocking to this to say, well, then I think this is something that might work for me. So that's a message we can begin to get out to people so that and we can say it confidently now. Now to get to this question of, are we missing something because these other things were done in the trial situation? The trials were big, 77,000 sexual encounters. I mean, that's pretty impressive. The confidence intervals are tight. It was convincing research. You're seeing it acting out now in cities, in real world environments where we're starting to see this. I think what you may be experiencing, we have to remember, people are having relationships that are unlinked. And in other words, I'm in this discordant relationship. This partner I know is undetectable. But if there is a third party or a fourth party where the virus is not undetectable, that may introduce the virus into that network. And that's where we see, breakdown of this. So it is important that each individual takes the responsibility of making sure they're undetectable. And if you move into an environment as an uninfected person and you are not sure about your network, your friend is PrEP. Okay, your friend is pre-exposure prophylaxis. Okay, and that's why we want to always put U equals U with the PrEP message, because they go hand in hand. I'll hand over to Michael for other thoughts.
Thank you. I just want to respond to the question about religious leaders. I think obviously, we as a gay man, I've gone through conversion therapy, and I think it's similar in a sense, like, what religious leaders want to change you for who you are, and they believe that when they pray for you, the prayer changes who you are. So it's similar in this sense, like people live with HIV who go to church and who expects that this religious leader is going to pray for them, and suddenly HIV goes away. And that is not true. In my case, it didn't go away. I'm still gay, still living with HIV. That did not go away. I'm not cured yet. But I think because there's trauma associated with conversion therapy, that if you've gone through that process of believing that this thing, that prayer or God has changed you or cured you, and then you found out that you're still living with HIV, there is a trauma that you have to go through. And sometimes we don't engage with those people who have gone through that process and make them the key component who needs to talk to other people that, hey, you need to take your ARV because conversion therapy does not work, right? You are not cured. The only way you can, quote unquote, be cured is if you remain on treatment. And actually, virus suppression in a way is a miracle. You can tell them in that sense, it's a miracle because, again, living HIV and getting on treatment every single day and be virally suppressed to be able to have sex the way you want it, to be able to possibly have kids, that's a miracle on its own. So I think we need to educate religious leaders and also engage most critically with people who have gone through that process, because sometimes we don't. Right, we just tell them, get on your treatment. This is like, we have to engage them because they've gone through trauma. They have mental health issues they have to deal with because they've believed in something that does not turn out to be true. And it's crucial that we engage with them.
Thank you very much. We've actually literally run out of time. Maybe I'll indulge just 5 more minutes. So I have 2 questions. The lady here has really had a hand up for long, and the gentleman at the back. So let the lady go first and then you can go. So please go ahead.
Thank you. My question is, and hello, Linda. We have done something terribly wrong, but with this messaging from the get-go of the epidemic. First, we attached it with fear. Then we attached it with responsibility. But sex was never fun, ever, in any of this messaging. Ask yourself deep down, 40 plus women, including myself, we all will shiver. Sex and fun? Okay, let's find a better way to say it. I rely on people like him who will be, and his generation, our generation, I'm really relying on you to give sex a better definition when it comes to HIV and AIDS, because we failed it. It's all this you, equal to you, condom, all these messages failed because we tried to attach it to cover the wound in some way. Let's say it this way, let's say it that way. Maybe the health minister will agree, maybe the president is not gonna throw me out of the country or whatever. We were always driven by fear, never by the rights. My right to do sex the way I want with whomever I want was never conveyed to anyone. And we are all scared when we have sex, whether with condom or not, whether with a male partner or a female partner, whoever. We are always scared. And living with HIV, oh my God, we are definitely scared. How can we take this scare part out? I leave it to the next generation because it certainly failed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. U equals U is part of it, and say 0. That's part of it.
Thank you so much, the facilitator. And I'm Peter from Uganda, Minister of Health. I hear you very well on U equals to U, and it is right if you're suppressed. But in programming, we only do viral testing once a year. At the time when we are testing, probably you're already not suppressed for some time. How do we program messaging around that? Then the other question, I think, is a comment. For the church people, Uganda under Dr. Watiti has published a book, Uganda Read Deuteronomy 29:29. God will never make a miracle to where you already know that the miracle has been performed, and it has already been alleged too. Surviving on ARVs is a miracle already, and having children. What God has revealed to you, do not go and ask God again. Partake.
Thank you very much, Peter. So, would you like to tackle the question?
I couldn't have said it better. Thank you. Just about sex, I think just to say, in this country and in this space where we live right now, the kind of sex I have is criminalized. So that's like, it's not like the kind of sex I have is criminalized. So like, again, sex sometimes it's not free, regardless of, it depends on who you are, where you're at. So it's not free. Sometimes it can send you to jail. In my country, I could go to jail for 14 years for having the sex I have. So we have to like unboss it and sort of have a free conversation about what it means to have sex the way we want it, but also think about what it means to take ARVs and like you said, like what it means to be on those pills every day. And I'm so excited about innovations that are coming out. Like this could be maybe once a month pill, or maybe once a year pill, whatever it is, or once in 6 months injections. Those are very possible. And you can imagine the impact that can have on an adherence, right? That people do not have to think about taking a pill every single day because of the pill body. I also just wanted to say, when we speak about U equals, it doesn't mean we're celebrating people who are able to achieve viral suppression, right? This is for everybody. If you're on treatment, you've not gotten yet, then don't feel discriminated against by hearing the word U equals U. It means there is hope that if you remain on your treatment, that's why, like Professor Nikebis said, people on those orange column, they are still part of this conversation because, again, don't feel left out. Don't feel like U equals is not for you. You're not part of this conversation, but actually you are. You're crucial to reaching that end goal.
Yeah, and I'll just quickly say a big shout out for viral loads. I think your point is well made. We need more activism around viral loads in our region. We've been left behind on the viral load bus, and we need more viral loads. I think when somebody feels that it's time to be tested for viral load, it would be great if they walked into the clinic and got themselves virally tested. In the situations where we're unsure, always remember the message of PrEP needs to go along with the message of treatment. But there's no doubt we can be doing more viral load testing. And as clinicians, we should be following up with our viral loads, right? One of the biggest, opportunities missed is when a person has a viral load, it sits in the lab, and we don't act on the viral load. So again, this is a shout out to my colleagues that we receive those viral loads and we act on them. I'm looking forward to the day the technology is there where the viral load result goes straight to the user, to the patient, to the person, so that they can be empowered and take responsibility for their own well-being. So let's keep this space going. Last word is dolutegravir really is a new era. And if we use treatment and we get onto dolutegravir and we are suppressed, if we keep doing what we were supposed to do, likely we're going to need fewer viral loads to confirm that viral suppression in the future. So again, we can be thinking about where we're using our viral loads, how we're using them, and use them more strategically in the future. So I just want to thank you all for listening and taking this forward.
Just wanted to add really quickly about, for clinicians, to your client, this is about choice. Give them the right to choose what works for them, right? Give them the right to choose. Like, the right to choose is really, really crucial. It's about choice. When you give people like options, let them choose what actually works for them.
And on that note, I want to say thank you. Thank you for choosing to be here this afternoon. Thank you for listening. Please tell your neighbor, U equals you. And tell them as they walk out, say 0. Can I hear it? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Can I hear you once more time?